The United States is one of the closest partners of the UK, and naturally, their embassy in London is over 500,000 square feet in size. But China just said, hold my noodle bowl. The UK has approved plans for China to build a 600,000 square feet mega embassy complex with multiple buildings and over 200 residences for, workers in the embassy and their families, a cultural center, and some grayed out sections. The UK government was like, yo, these plans are huge, but is the basement grayed out? Why is the basement grayed out? The audacity. China basically said, we will build a huge embassy in your capital. And the UK government was like, okay, submit your plans. And the basement section is just missing from those plans. Now, why are these sections redacted? Oh, don't worry about those redacted sections. They're for security purposes. Sorry, whenever I try that, I don't know. I'm not racist, by the way. I'm just trying to sound like a native Chinese person trying to speak English. Now, the UK government said, mate, you have 2 weeks to tell us exactly, straight faced, what those grayed out sections are. You can't be graying out an entire basement of this fat embassy. You will have your plans rejected. Now, why am I making a video about this boring, about boring building regulations? And why the heck are you watching this? Go listen to a music video or honestly, whatever else is on TikTok, something funny, right? Well, I'll tell you why, and it's juicy. Because you see, a super embassy from China in the heart of the United Kingdom shows a shifting world order. The UK and the EU are looking more and more to the east for opportunities, all kinds of opportunities, not across the Atlantic to the US like they traditionally would do. From the Marshall Plan onwards, after the Second World War, Europe always looked across the Atlantic, but times are changing, for better or worse. I'm just reporting to you the news. And this trend is made easier, looking to the east rather than the west, is made easier by Trump and the acceleration of America's fall from grace from the world stage and economic isolation and anti-globalization efforts by the Trump administration. For better or worse, right? That's a gambit that Trump is trying. It could, pay dividends. It could not. We won't get into that in this video. But we are fast headed to a world, my analysis suggests, where the EU, the US, and China are three blocks, some economic blocks, three poles of a multipolar world order. And that's not just my analysis, actually, actual professionals. Like Jeffrey Sachs, he talks about it as well in his books. And if China can sweet talk the European nations, the UK included, into closer ties to Beijing, promising prosperity for the Europeans and the Chinese, it's America that will be left isolated and out in the cold. Whether they want that or not, that's up for debate. And a Cold War is brewing, make no mistake, guys. And unlike Cold War One, where the US faced a Soviet Union economically, structurally, much weaker, politically much less diplomatic and dynamic. Now they face China, the titan of Asia. And China, the Soviet Union, is not. Or is it the other way around? I was trying to use like cool syntax and it flopped. Anyway, it is not blind communism, you see, that China implements in their huge country. It's socialism with Chinese characteristics sort of sprinkled in. It's a unique socialism hybrid that allows for capitalism, which has led to shocking success in China. It's a system that has space for capitalism. There are Chinese millionaires, there are Chinese billionaires, but they have to stay in line with the state. The state watches carefully and works to ensure the wealth of the nation is invested back into the nation more proportionally than traditional capitalist countries. If China gets rich, everyone benefits. Have you seen their airport-sized train stations that look like space flipping terminals from the year 2050? While the late stage capitalism in America, by comparison, very different. If America gets rich, everyone does not get rich. A small sliver at the top get rich. The middle do okay. They get by. And the poor are dirt poor. They're really poor. I'm talking living, working two jobs and somehow still managing to live in a tent under a bridge poor. Like that poor. I'm talking camping out in the rat-filled subway system of NYC, New York City, the cultural capital of the nation. That kind of poor, right? A subway system that looks that way and is full of rats, by the way, because America's super wealthy are under no obligation by the American government to share their wealth or get taxed on it in a way where the state can then fund social programs and lift basically the whole nation up. It doesn't work like that. This late stage capitalism in America, for better or worse, I'm just reporting to you the facts. Then you go off and you research. Okay, don't let me, steer you into a certain direction, and don't blindly follow me. I'll never ask you of. I'll never ask that of you. Go research. But that's how America's capitalism works. Any profit is made almost exclusively by the rich, and the poor don't really benefit. Whereas China, it's like, let's all get rich. You're a billionaire, no problem. But we're gonna make sure a portion of your wealth is given back to the state, and the state's going to lift the whole nation up. Socialism with Chinese characteristics. So, coming back to the topic after some wonderful meandering, like I normally do, sorry, not sorry, to be honest, China is gearing up to work, or try to work, more closely with the United Kingdom. And the redacted sections, well, all embassies have redacted portions. It's just that since this Chinese embassy being planned is 10 times larger than most embassies at all, most embassies in the world, including China's current one, is 10 times larger than China's current embassy in the UK. Proportionally, the ultra secret, secure, redacted sections that China wants to keep hidden, those two are also, 10 times larger, one could assume. And the UK government got triggered. Fun fact, embassies are treated as sovereign territory of that country, the country whose embassy it is, not the host country. So it's it's like a chunky slice of China in the heart of London. And all embassies are like that. It's not China specific. But of course, the host country will need to grant that permission to set this initiative up in the first place. For China to build that mega embassy in London, London will have to give permission. So time will tell how things turn out. Accepted or rejected these building plans. I'll see if I can keep you updated. I'll need to come across the news myself and actually keep track of it. And there's so much to cover. One thing is certain. China is making moves so that its footing, its prep for Cold War 2.0 is more stable. It's not making the same mistakes that the Soviet Union was making. In fact, America is the one that looks to be making the mistakes this time round. As the rising star, China, who wishes to lead in science, tech, innovation, green energy, prosperity for its citizens generally, and broadly humanity, China does not want conflict. But as I always say, as the Latin saying goes, even if China doesn't want conflict, if you wish for peace, you must prepare for war. For the unbiased news and analysis without the Western spin, I'm Mahfouz, and I'll see you on the next one.